Speaking of climate, our governor here in North Carolina, Roy Cooper, was in Washington, D.C. today testifying before a House committee about climate change. And if you're a fan of the Carolina Weather Group, you know that during the last 2 weeks, our shows have talked about climate reports from last year and recent years. And we've been taking a look at a lot of these big milestone events that have been making the news. The governor was asked a little bit about that and a little bit about just the frequency of all these big weather events that are making the climate logs and how they are affecting particularly rural communities. Take a listen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Governor Cooper, Governor Baker, for being here today. Every day when I come to work for the people of California's Central Valley, I think about how what we do is going to affect their lives, particularly in these rural communities that I represent. And while it's clear as day that climate change is real, according to the National Climate Assessment, rural communities in particular face more challenging obstacles responding to climate change because they're so highly dependent on our natural resources. And certainly in California, we've seen those direct impacts, the heat waves, the fires, the droughts. And we all know it's only going to get worse unless we do something about it. But my particular concern and interest is really the linkage between climate change and public health, and particularly public health, how it's going to affect our rural communities.
From the rural perspective, farmers are getting hit hard by the effects of climate change, and they know it, and you hear from them because in North Carolina now we have made a significant state appropriation to get some immediate help to our farmers, many of them hit by flood after flood, storm after storm, who are now beginning to make the decision, this is just not worth it. It is not worth it to be in this business. That should be a frightening result, not only for my state, but for the rest of the country and the world.
A new map out today complements exactly what they were talking about there at that congressional hearing. This is out from NOAA talking about the 2018 $1 billion weather year that we saw. All these weather events that have now made their way into the record books as climate disasters, including Hurricane Florence here in North Carolina. Also out today, the statistic that 2018 closing the books as the fourth warmest year on record, behind only, you guessed it, 2016, 2015, and 2017. I want to bring back in the panel, see if they had a chance to take a look at this map and some of the new data out today. Scotty, what are your thoughts when you look at a map like this? We've seen it for past years, and it seems like every year we're getting a map eerily similar like the year before.
Yeah, in fact, our good buddy Brad Panovich was talking about this on air tonight. 2016, 17, and 18 has been four of the most damaging years, $1 billion damaging years from natural disasters. But it seems like the Carolinas, at least over the past 2 or 3 years, has been hit by not one but two hurricanes each of the years. So the tropics remain active, and we also saw severe weather, which seems to be coming around a little bit quicker and quicker every year. So that, along with the drought out in California, I know the wildfires out there caused a lot of damage as well. So just kind of to show you that the climate is very active, and it's just going to keep us on our toes here as we come into the 2019 season.
And that hurricane season will be here before we know it. Teasing ahead, we will have a soundbite from the director of the National Hurricane Center. They're meeting this week with FEMA and local emergency managers. We'll check in to see how their conference is going in a little bit. But, it's not just hurricanes and it's not just floods. We've even had in years past ice disasters that affected the agriculture community. And that came to mind when I heard the governor's soundbite.